What qualities do you think are essential for today's educational leaders to have?
I'm going to say communication. You can have a great skill set, you can have the EQ, but you have to be able to communicate vision, goals in a way that people are able to understand that whether they are the superintendent, whether they are the instructional coach, or whether they're the janitor, you have to communicate in a way that people buy into your vision, buy into growth, buy into transformation. When we talk about communication, it's your ability to take a thought, to take a vision or a mission statement and inspire others to follow along with that.
You are now listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with your host, George Valenzuela.
This is education coach George Valenzuela. Welcome to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast, where I provide all educators, whether instructional leaders or teachers, tips on how to be their best both personally and professionally. Now let's get into it. We're here today with an exceptional educator and content creator, my new friend, Coach Tony Kimble. Tony is the host of the Transforming Lives podcast, where he dives into the journeys of educational leaders who are really making a difference. I first connected with Tony online and became a big fan of his presence and message. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, George, for having me on, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Tony, your podcast has featured many educational leaders who have transformed their schools and communities. What inspired you to start the show, and what do you hope listeners take away from these conversations?
Yeah, so I just started the podcast years ago and finally found that series that pushed forward my idea of what podcasting should be. So this 50 educators from 50 states was just the opportunity for educators to hear stories of transformation and that it can be accomplished by them as well. So hearing their stories, people will be inspired to transform their own schools. So that's what I hope listeners to get.
As an educational consultant, I'm part coach, part speaker, but I'm also an entrepreneur. So I love to hear the stories of other educators and other entrepreneurs that have had success or even a few of their challenges. And what I do is I look for the parallels in both our journeys so that I glean lessons and look at my lessons and try to put it all together. So I love that you're doing that. Tony, effective leadership in education ranks up here, and I always hear you talk about it because it's very important. What qualities do you think are essential for today's educational leaders to have?
I'm going to say communication. You can have a great skill set, you can have the EQ, but you have to be able to communicate vision, goals in a way that people are able to understand that whether they are the superintendent, whether they are the instructional coach, or whether they're the janitor, you have to communicate in a way that people buy into your vision, buy into growth, buy into transformation. When we talk about communication, it's your ability to take a thought, to take a vision or a mission statement and inspire others to follow along with that. Being able to communicate that to execute it is essential.
I remember very early on, I had a lot of passion for STEM education, computer science, project-based learning, but I didn't always know how to communicate that to others. I had to learn communication skills. It's probably the utmost important thing that we need to have after having love and heart and passion for what we do. Really good point. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. And now for a word from one of our sponsors.
We had the pleasure of listening to George this morning on project-based learning, and he shared his story that his aunt encouraged him to go into education. And she was absolutely right. He is so talented at sharing information in a way that is easy to digest and is inspiring to go back and actually implement and make change.
So my takeaway is that Mr. Valenzuela was very inspiring. He was very motivational and helped me to think about a new way of getting my teachers excited.
When I set out to do a workshop, my key deliverable is energy. And this momentum is used to make connections, inspire, educate, and ultimately transform the audience so that they're compelled to take that same energy back to their schools and communities. And although we have fun, we tackle the hard topics of today, like educational policy, pedagogy for improving curriculum and instruction, and empowering today's students by connecting our work to the needs of the workforce. So please consider Lifelong Learning Defined for your next keynote, workshop, or conference, and overall instructional and educational coaching needs. My name is George, and I hope to connect with you soon.
We would love to have him come and do some work with us and help us be a little more successful and help our students to be more successful.
On your podcast, Tony, the 50 Educators from 50 States series, you showcase many diverse perspectives from across our country. What has been the most surprising thing that you learned from these conversations?
Surprising thing has been there are a lot of commonalities amongst people in different states. Going into it, I thought maybe that you could look at some comparisons there, but what I'm finding out is that each person has this idea of what effective leadership looks like, and they follow it, whether that's building quality relationships, whether that's establishing effective cultures and climates in schools. It's all the same. It's how well do you do it, and where is your focus? So now what I'm finding out is I'm able to glean from the different leaders and see how it all goes together, whether that's from a district standpoint, from a school leader standpoint, and even from a classroom standpoint. So it's all common. And if you're looking to build effective leadership, it's finding what works.
There's nothing I can add to that. You said that perfectly. If I had to add something, I think leadership is believing in your people, both students and the teachers, believing they can achieve, and building rapport and relationships, and then having them buy into you first as a person, as a leader, and then inviting them to help you execute your mission. I heard a leader once say, don't hit the ground running, hit the ground listening. Important point. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button, and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. And now for a word from one of our sponsors. I move around a lot of schools, and we're seeing a huge disconnect. We have a lot of teachers that have come from non-traditional pathways, especially in the past few years. Interactions, expectations is really the first step. All of my teachers, raise your right hand and please repeat after me. I promise that I will speak positivity into my students. All of my administrators, all my directors, all my principals, all my coordinators, raise your hands, please, your right hand, and repeat after me. I promise that I will speak positivity into my faculty and staff. Thank you. All right, Tony, let's transition from leadership into content creation. In 2025, content creation is a significant part of your work and really all other entrepreneurs and education consultants. From podcasting to engaging social media content, what challenges have you faced in creating and sharing your content?
It's finding out that audience, finding your audience, but being authentic along with it. So that means for me, speaking to leaders, because leadership is leadership, sometimes I find myself drifting off to other lanes. But now I understand the importance of speaking to school leaders and speaking to first-year teachers. At first, I struggled with that. I tried to talk to everybody else, but here's the thing, George, nobody was listening. And someone finally told me, somebody asked the question. They didn't tell me. They asked the question, asked me the question, who is your target audience? And I started talking about everybody. And I found out nobody was listening. I developed this laser-like focus that I'm speaking to leaders and I'm speaking to first-year teachers.
I love that you're talking to first-year teachers. In my travels around the country, I'm seeing lots of teachers are coming to us from non-traditional pathways. We got lots of career switchers. We got lots of folks who came to us online during the pandemic. And at times, many of them don't know what to do with children. Many of them don't know that the first step to forming any type of rapport, any type of relationship, learning partnership is first having high expectations and positive interactions. I love that you're helping grow new teachers. Tony, what's your go-to artificial intelligence tool or tools in your content creation process, and how do they work?
Of course, everybody uses ChatGPT, Gemini, also Notebook LM, Descript. And it's several that I use, but what I'm doing is I'm weeding out to see which one can help me have a daily method of operation. When I look at ChatGPT, I've been able to summarize a lot of the information that we've talked about earlier on what's the commonalities among those leaders that I've talked to. George, I couldn't do it alone. I use artificial intelligence to find out keywords, find out quotes. It became my assistant until I can have someone on staff that's paid. ChatGPT is my go-to, but I use some of the other artificial intelligence as well to help me navigate these podcast lanes.
I am definitely a fan of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is my assistant. It also helps me find themes in my data, whether it's podcast data after a workshop. It helps me find themes and commonalities and things that I should be thinking about. You also mentioned Descript. I'm a big fan of Descript. It transcribes everything for me. It allows me to remove all the filler words and things that don't belong in the podcast. Podcast folks out there, if you're not using a transcription software that leverages the power of AI to remove things you don't need in the script or in the recording, then you're not doing it right. Tony, balancing the roles of educator, coach, and content creator is demanding. How do you manage your time and energy to ensure you're effectively reaching and impacting your audience?
This is something that I've learned. I will admit I struggled with this early on. For the last 4 years, I struggled with just knowing what balance is. I was a workaholic. I didn't understand what no was. But I think one of the most powerful things that has happened over the last 9 months is I understand no and naming my time. Mm-hmm. What that means is that like today, I had from 9 to 12, I was able to accomplish several tasks. I removed everything else from my surroundings because I feel like I have some little troubles going on. We won't talk about those, but I was able to just focus in on getting some emails sent out, creating content. And then also, I think an important point to say, George, is that it's okay not to post content. I have tons of content available on my computer in my Google Drive, but I've learned now to say, Tony, you need to pull away and take control of it because you become a robot until you begin to really focus in on you, okay? Focus in on you and finding why are you moving these different parts of you into different places? You repeat, you're in a cycle. Now I say, you know what? I'm going to stop. And if I post the content, that's great. I have it available. And if I need to shift it to another week, it's going to be shifted to another week. I can't say, George, I never used that tool that I had readily available inside of me. And I'm excited about it.
I think every entrepreneur has lacked balance in their life, especially in the beginning when they're building their business or they're learning how to create content. There's ups and downs, twists and turns, and really there's no guide for this. We're learning in real time and all at the same time. And I think having balance, like you said, is knowing when to step away, when to start again, and refresh yourself as needed. Tony, looking ahead, what are your goals for your broader mission in your consulting work?
So it's to work with first-year teachers. When I mean first-year teachers, I don't want to box or limit myself to the audience that's listening. It is to reach out to that 1st to 4-year teachers, because what I found out through some research that I was reading is that they're leaving, and the reason they're leaving is because they don't have any support. And that was one of the number one reasons that they didn't necessarily have support from leadership. So I want to go in and provide simple steps, make the complicated simple, where I go in and help those 1st year to 4-year teachers, whether they're coming in from a non-traditional track and help those teachers build an environment that helps the next generation, because the next generation is sitting in the classroom right now. And I want to be that person that helped me. I want to be that person to help future move forward.
Tony, for educators looking to amplify their voices through content creation and do what you do, they want to be like you. What advice would you offer them?
Number one is to get your core right. And what I mean by your core is you're who you are. Who you are is understanding that whether you put content out or not, it's the hot thing that goes viral that doesn't take away from who you are. So establishing that core part of people connect with you before they connect with the vision. As people learn more about you, and the thing about it is no one can tell the world about you better than you can. You spend more time, more emphasis on, hey, this is what I believe. This is what I stand for. And this is what type of content I'm going to put out there. Once you spend that time on it, and it's well worth it, and it's going to be a continuous process. Once you do that, you begin to walk in your lane. And when other things come, they are not just shiny objects. You understand, hey, this is good. I'm going to take this and put this into my repertoire. This right here, sounds good. It looks good, but that's just not me. And I don't need to spend the time on it. So it's almost as if you're starting your educational journey again, because it sounds like teaching. That's basically what I'm talking about. Without a shadow of a doubt, George, is be you.
That's an excellent point. What a perfect way to end this show. Tony, let's send this up to God. How can people contact you to speak at your school, conference, or event?
Contact me on Instagram, Coach Tony Kimble. That's the handle. Or you just shoot me an email, TonyKimble@coachkisle.com. We'll connect. Look forward to hearing from you.
That's it for this episode. Until next time, this is the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast. Whether you're a teacher or administrator, you lead by walking alongside your students and your staff. You teach them what to do. You model for them. Let's say you're in a situation where you don't know what to do and you bring in a coach or a resource, you learn alongside them. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the second thing is this. Give your people feedback, not pushback. Whoever you push back on, whether physically or verbally, they're going to do it right back immediately. And if they're intimidated by our position, our status, they're going to do it behind our backs and ruin our programs. My guy. I want to leave you on this note. Trajectories can be changed. When I was in 10th grade, here's a snapshot of who I was in 10th grade. There's a rapper named Rakim. I'm not sure if you guys know about Rakim, but he used to say, it's not where you're from, it's where you at. And I played that on my headphones at 16 years old every day until I believed it. I'm showing you this because I'm seeing versions of this throughout American schools. This is your reality of what you have to face. If I can do it, any kid can do it, but they have to work hard. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with George Valenzuela.